We now react to the Premier League clubs voting against scrapping VAR next season. Now, you know, it's been widely known Wolves were the club that, initially, we talked about this a few weeks ago, but today the voting happened. Wolves were the club that initially came out and wanted to scrap VAR for next season. They came out with some valid reasons, some valid explanation. One of the main ones saying for the inefficiency of it, for how much time it takes, for the lack of accuracy despite VAR, the amount of time that's being wasted, and the flow of the rhythm getting ruined of a game was just not worth it, because there was no really increase in accuracy, which I agree with that statement. Now, did I agree with completely scrapping VAR? I don't think so, because again, you want to give the referees some sort of you don't just want some, because sometimes there's some just generally referees that make human mistake, and you just don't want to let them go and just let human mistake freely happen, because let's VAR, despite a lot of the issues with it, VAR has gotten things right though. There has been certain moments that, there's been an offsides that a referee missed, or there's been a clear penalty a referee missed, and VAR came in and did his job. And it's done a good job protecting referees at certain points. Now, there's been other times that it's gone horribly wrong, and it seems like that's all that we hear about. But VAR has definitely been a positive too in certain areas, in certain times. Not all the time, but in certain times. But we just don't really hear about it because we really want to focus on the negatives of VAR. Now, Wolves, they've been on the end of a lot of bad VAR decisions this season. So I guess I sympathize with them wanting to get it scrapped. And they actually came out with an interesting statement. This is the Wolves, through their PR team. While we are disappointed with the outcome of the vote on the future of VAR at today's annual general meeting, we acknowledge and accept the decision made by our fellow clubs, and we are reassured that the Premier League is taking the concern of club and supporters seriously. We welcome the commitment to improve VAR, particularly in areas that address delays, consistency, and fan experience. Sorry about that. While we still believe that Premier League football would be superior for supporters, players, coaches, and viewers without VAR, we think that these improvements are crucial for the integrity of the game and for enhancing the overall matchday experience for our supporters. Wolves remain committed to working closely with the Premier League and PGMOL to ensure that VAR continues to evolve and better serve the interest of football. We appreciate the efforts being made to address the issues that we have highlighted in our resolution and look forward to seeing whether the changes implemented this summer can reverse the decline in matchday experience for our fans and respect for our officials. Now, the voting was not close. The voting was 19 clubs to 1, and we will assume that the one club that voted was Wolves against it. So 19 clubs to 1. And keep in mind, it's not more than 50%. 14 of the 20 clubs need to vote in favor of it. And the majority of, and all the clubs were clear. They want to keep VAR, but they wanted, improvements. And they wanted to change, not get rid of it as a whole. And, they came with some amendments to change it. The Premier League and the PGML, they've stated the improvements that are going to be made or that are needed to make, to make the game better. First of all, in October, which is weird, why not from the beginning of the season? But in October, they're going to introduce semi-automated offsides technology. That they're gonna with that they're gonna try to reduce the time it takes to check offsides, and they're gonna make announcements within the stadium when a decision is changed, because of a VAR decision. They also are adding this high threshold to intervene and change something. Or they're not adding that, but they're emphasizing it, overemphasizing it, because they've had that in kind of, but they don't believe it's been high enough. And they want to improve how the fans understand what's going on with VAR, making the decisions, announcing them in the stadium, and offering replays on the jumbotrons, the big screens, when a VAR decision is being made. Now, and then most importantly, I think this is what most importantly, they came out and talked about working with the PGMOL to create a more thorough and robust training experience for any VAR official, to improve the quality of calls being made and improving the length of time it takes to make a call, while keeping everything accurate, which it hasn't been up to this point. But while making it accurate, they want to improve on how fast it is, and they want to keep it consistent. They also want better communication from the VAR officials through the fourth officials and the referee. And they're thinking about adding certain extra programs, like miking up the referees, which is very, very interesting. All this is sounds good, but at the end of the day, it's all talk of nothing is actually implemented, and this needs to be implemented. I said a few weeks ago, the VAR does not need to be scrapped, but the way it's implemented needs to be thoroughly changed. And I'm very, clear on that. It has to be changed. There's no way they could do it. Some of the calls that were missed this season is horrible. That offsides Liverpool had against Tottenham, the Luis Diaz incident, that's clear as day. You can't have video assistant referee and miss a call like that. To call something offsides that's not offsides, and to not change it, you can't make that kind of decision. No, with video assistant referee, you have to. Now, the speed, look, obviously I don't want the flow of games being interrupted, but I think the number one right now, the Premier League are they're in a position where, let alone the speed, they're not even getting things accurately, let alone the speed. Now, I've not been, my concern has, never been the speed. Obviously, I don't want the game to be slowed down, and I want the flow to continue. But my biggest concern when it comes to VAR is the lack of accuracy. The speed is also a problem, don't get me wrong, but it's the accuracy that's a bigger problem for me when you're missing calls. Now, obviously, the speed and how long it takes to make a decision and the flow getting interrupted, now that's something that does need to eventually get improved. But I think you got to take steps at a time when it comes to improving certain things. And I think the main thing to improve is accuracy within the decisions being made. I think there has to be a massive improvement when it comes to that. Now, they did come out with a six set plan on how to improve VAR. I said, some of them, but I'm gonna say them again. So they said they want to, create a high threshold for VAR to come in and to make a decision. They want fewer interruptions in terms of how the game flows. So they want to have it needs to be clear and obvious kind of in different ways. They want to have a higher threshold. They want to reduce the amount of times that the game is getting delayed. And semi-auto offside technology is going to help with that. And they want to continue to keep a high threshold for VAR intervention to reduce the amount of delays. Number 2. Number 3, they want to improve the fans' experience, including the fans within the stadium, by obviously lowering the delays, but specifically making announcements within the stadiums from the referees when something is VAR, very similar to what they do at the NFL. Pass interference with this guy, or even the NBA to a certain extent. They want to do that within the game, and they want the referees to say something through to the stadium while making the call. You kind of saw that at the Women's World Cup. which was a little bit awkward because, the referee would say red card coming for 42, okay, and then she'll just, they'll give the red card to, I wasn't a bigger fan of that. Maybe announce the decision after you give like a card or something like that. But then again, I see why, it's a good way to, improve the stadium experience. Number 4 thing is they want to work with the PGMOL to create more better training for VAR officials to improve the accuracy within the decisions, and they want to increase the speed while keeping accuracy. Again, they want to increase the number 5, they want to increase the transparency and communication that's going on with VAR, including creating communication from the Premier League Match Center all the way to the broadcasters, using like potential like miking up the referees. And then the last one is the delivery of a fan and stakeholder VAR communication campaign, which will help clarify what VAR is supposed to do in soccer to potential fans and to people participating in the game. So yeah, I mean, it seems like they have some sort of plan. Now, whether or not they implement it, that's the whole different conversation.